Some very interesting things on the bench in the workshop all the way from China. These are my observations and opinion about some small live steam parts. And the first thing I'm going to look at is this very small twin-cylinder marine engine. After oiling all of the moving parts with some machine oil, I open the regulator, not too fast because it's a new engine and I want to run it in a little bit. Looking at the sides of this engine and seeing how smoothly it runs and how quickly it reverses is a credit to the design and manufacture. To make an engine function at all with Stephenson's link reversing gear is quite difficult. And the Stephenson's link reversing gear on this engine is very small indeed, and it appears to work beautifully. The engine is designed to be fitted into a radio-controlled steamboat. So there's no fancy reversing lever that you would normally have to modify. Both of the levers on this engine, the regulator lever and the reversing gear lever, have got holes in them to take servos directly. This saves a bit of time, because whenever you have an engine that has reversing gear with a fancy handle, you have to modify this handle to accept a servo. And look at the speed that it's capable of running at this early stage of its life. Bear in mind it's a new engine, so therefore presumably it's a little bit on the tight side, and it runs very smoothly indeed. I've seen one of these engines before. A customer of mine bought it via eBay as part of a steam plant, but it was an early model of this, it wasn't the same, and it certainly didn't run as well as this engine is doing. This previous engine and gearbox arrangement that I looked at was made by the same manufacturer, obviously, but it wasn't as good as this, so as time goes by, things improve. If I want to be critical, and as this is a review, I will be critical, I don't like this. This is the reversing lever, and it moves slightly too far, and for some reason there's a little bit too much play in the shaft, so the shaft moves about and it's very loose. I think there's room for some improvement here possibly. The quadrant that's designed to stop the lever from moving too far lets it move too far, and when you move it right to the end of its travel, it does this, it wobbles about a little bit. Plus the peg that fits into the slot in the brass part on the bar seems to be quite small and there's a bit of play. But anyway, provided you don't move the lever too far, this would not be a problem in a model boat, because with modern radio control equipment you can adjust the end point of the servos, and even if you don't have such a sophisticated radio control transmitter, you can still adjust the linkages. When I hold a steel ruler against various parts of the engine, you can see just how small it is. In this clip you get an idea of the range of the regulator, and it's very smooth and it doesn't leak. This engine is made by a Chinese company who trade under the name of Microcosm, and the website address is www.microcosm-engine.com. And at this point of the review, I would just like to say I have nothing whatsoever to do with Microcosm, financially or otherwise. The engine was sent to me by a friend of mine from America called Jerry, and he wanted to know whether it was good or not. And in my opinion, for a small brass engine, it's very good. I don't personally like small brass engines because they wear out quickly, but for a model boat that's only going to be sailed infrequently, it's a great power plant. From what I can see by looking on the website, this company trading as Microcosm seem to make quite a large range of top quality steam fittings. This, for instance, is a gas canister adapter to allow you to fill a gas tank from a commercial canister, and it works beautifully. It's a lot better than some that I've bought, which leak badly. This doesn't. Yes, that seems to fill the tank perfectly well. Health and safety first. I never leave these adapters permanently screwed to the gas canisters, I always remove them. Another product in the Microcosm range are these small oilers. Now I don't like these very much, I think they're too tall. If you compare them with the ones that my friend Chris imports, these are much smaller and in my opinion look better. Please note that the oilers currently held in my fingers are not Microcosm products, I'm just using them for comparison. And when I hold one of the 21st century steam oilers in my hand, alright, it's a lot bigger, but it just looks so much better than these long, thin Microcosm oilers, and the caps don't screw in. That's a real no-no for a steam engine. Model steam engines often vibrate very badly, and the top caps could fall into the mechanism of the steam engine. Not good. This is a nice thing. This is a displacement lubricator with a glass sight window. It's beautifully made, and if it works as good as it looks, then I give this full marks for being a nice piece of equipment. I don't have time today to steam this engine, but I'm going to run it in somewhat using compressed air. First of all though, a bit of my steam oil mixture into the inlet pipe to the cylinders, not forgetting to open the steam valve first. In this clip I'm holding a cloth behind the engine to catch the oil that runs out of the exhaust pipe, because I don't want it to run all over the engine. I'll tell you what I'm impressed with though, this oil's coming out of the cylinders quite clean. Normally when you run an engine for the first time, and often for quite a while, the oil comes out of the engine very black. And at the moment the only discoloured oil that I can see on the entire engine is spinning out from the eccentrics, which you would expect, to be honest. I'm really pleased to see that finally the Chinese manufacturers are starting to use hexagon bolts. And I notice on the Microcosm website that they also sell packs of these bolts. I believe the ones that I was looking at on the website were stainless steel hexagon head M2 bolts. And it's about time really. I used to hate the fact that there'd be a really nice looking engine which was assembled using Posi-Drive type screws or Phillips crosshead screws. I think that miniature steam engines assembled in this way are really bad. And I'm also not a lover of Allen cap head screws. On this engine there are some, but they're underneath out of the way and you don't notice them. In this clip you can see how smoothly this engine's capable of running, and don't forget it's new, so therefore it must be slightly tight. It's beautiful. Look at this in a close-up. The thing about it though is the engine looks like the computer graphic from the CAD program that designed it, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, it's quite a good thing. And in my opinion, the overall thing that lets down Chinese manufacture of things like this is the fitting and assembly of the end product, usually coupled with the incorrect choice of materials for certain parts. And this statement is based on experience. My friend Chris used to import some engines from China, and I had to rebuild every one of them completely from the ground up. But not so with this one. This one just stands on its own and it runs beautifully. Put some compressed air into it and off it goes. I'll be quite interested to see how it performs and how well it's adjusted when I run it on steam, which I will be doing shortly. Not in this episode though, I'll do that in a future episode. In this clip I've turned up the pressure so the engine's running at a much higher RPM, just to see if anything falls off it. You can see the discoloured oil splashing out from the eccentrics, but that's the only part of the engine that's throwing out dirty oil. On a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'd give this engine about an 8, with conditions. It's what it is, it's a small brass engine. It's not going to wear terribly well over a long period, but it will be fine, as I said earlier, for a model boat. I would prefer it if the main bearings were made from phosphor bronze. I don't like the sloppy fit of the reversing shaft, and I would prefer the brass lifting arms to be fitted to the end of the reversing shaft using Loctite 603 as well as a grub screw. My friend Jerry also sent me this, and I thought, well, what is this? Is this a Clack valve? So I opened it up and had a look inside. No, it's an oil check valve. I'm assuming that's what it is anyway. It's big enough to be a check valve for a model boiler, but there isn't much valve travel, so not a lot of water gets through. The nut and the steam union fits very well on the end of the thread, and you even get a spare O-ring with it. I'll just leave you for a moment or two with this engine running. As I said earlier, these are just my thoughts and opinions on Microcosm steam engine parts. And Microcosm didn't give me one of these engines for free, it was bought from Microcosm, so I can be totally honest as to what I think about it, and it's pretty good. In addition to these parts, a while back I was sent some more Microcosm parts from my friend in America. And again, he doesn't get them for free, he buys them from Microcosm. I featured these in a video a while back, but I'm going to rerun that section of the video so that you can see it in context with these parts. This is a small pipe bender, and it's much smaller than any other one I've ever seen. It's a very small pipe bender. It's nothing new, the design has been out for many years, and you can buy these in various sizes, but not as small as this one. This is really small. This is the one I would normally use for bending small pieces of copper pipe, And once I've bent the pipe using this pipe bender, it's then possible to see the difference in the radius. See how much tighter the smaller bend is? This, by the way, is 5/32 of an inch diameter pipe, or 4mm, and this pipe bender will also bend 1/8 of an inch diameter pipe and possibly down to 3/32 of an inch pipe. A top quality product, and it's beautifully made. This is a gas valve, but not just any gas valve. You connect steam from the boiler into the steam unit in the centre of the fitting, the one surrounded by stainless steel bolts, and the pressure of the steam then controls the gas output. I assume that with a bit of adjustment, when the boiler blows off, you can turn the gas down automatically. This is not much good for my kind of application, but very good on a small steamboat, I would think. One viewer asked me if it was possible to get this to work with a Mammoth steam engine, which runs at £15 per square inch, and I really don't know. I would guess that if you take it apart and change the strength of the spring that must be inside it, maybe it would be okay for lower pressures. This next item is a standard gas tank valve, and I really like this a lot. And I'll tell you why I like this a lot. Because it's not as stupidly tall as most of the gas valves out there on the market. So it's far easier to fit this gas tank inside such a thing as a model boat, where space is often limited. And usually gas tanks don't fit because the valves are too tall. And what's this? This is very, very small, as you can see by the size of my hand. Although my not so delicate piano playing fingers are making it look a bit smaller than it is. It is, of course, a small water pump, and it's complete with an eccentric with an oil cup and a mounting bracket. The only thing wrong with this pump is it's a little bit small. The shaft diameter, I think, is 4mm. I know it won't fit on a Cheddar puffing engine that I have, because it would have been good for that. Again, it's a very nicely made item. This next gadget is really clever. It's a glass displacement lubricator. It looks a little bit like a piece of medical equipment. Once again, the machining is to die for, all computer machined, a very beautiful thing. I'll test this and see if it works. You even get some spare O-rings in the package. Saving the best till last, look at this. This is a flyball governor. Once again, it's really well made, really well machined. I can't fault it at all. I love the design. When you connect this to a steam engine's crankshaft using a pulley, as the engine's speed increases, it spins the governor faster, and centrifugal force causes the balls to spin outwards, and this in turn moves the lever that operates the valve as I'm just showing here. This reduces the amount of steam fed to the engine, therefore keeps its speed more or less constant. And this small steam valve actually works. It regulates the pressure through it. I think I'll put this back in a bag until I find an application to use it on. And that concludes this episode, so thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful.